The hum of the airport terminal was a mix of hurried footsteps, faint announcements, and the occasional laughter of families reuniting. Shaquille O'Neal, towering above the crowd, strolled quietly toward his gate. His fame had earned him countless fans, yet his modest demeanor and simple clothing helped him blend in, most of the time. He wasn't just a basketball legend, he was a philanthropist, a father, and someone who believed in spreading kindness wherever he went. Dressed in a grey hoodie and sneakers, Shaq smiled as he spotted a family with kids excitedly pointing at him. He crouched slightly, signing an autograph for the youngest child and cracking a joke that sent the entire family into giggles. For Shaq, moments like these were more rewarding than any trophy or accolade. Boarding began for the first-class passengers. The exclusive cabin had plush leather seats, gourmet meal options, and a calm atmosphere reserved for those accustomed to luxury. Shaq handed his ticket to the gate agent and entered the plane, ducking slightly to avoid hitting his head on the low cabin ceiling. He chose a window seat, settling into the roomy accommodations designed for comfort. Though Shaq could afford any luxury, his life wasn't about flaunting wealth. It was about making a difference. Today's trip was no exception. He was flying to meet with leaders of a foundation that funded educational opportunities for underserved communities. As Shaq adjusted his seatbelt, he noticed a commotion at the front of the plane. A sharply dressed man in a crisp navy suit, accompanied by an expensive leather briefcase, was making his way down the aisle. His polished shoes clicked against the floor, and his confident stride spoke of someone used to being in charge. The man paused abruptly when he spotted Shaq. His brow furrowed, his lips curling into a smug grin. He leaned over to a flight attendant nearby, speaking in a tone loud enough for others to hear. "Excuse me," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Are you sure everyone here belongs in first class? It's supposed to be exclusive." The flight attendant glanced at Shaq, puzzled, then back at the man. "Sir, all passengers here have purchased first-class tickets," she replied diplomatically. The man smirked. "Well, some people clearly don't belong. Look at that guy. He's taking up enough room for 2 people. I mean, seriously, who let him in?" Passengers nearby exchanged uncomfortable glances, while Shaq remained calm, his expression unreadable. He could feel the weight of the man's words, but chose not to react. Instead, he adjusted his hoodie and turned to look out the window. The man's audacity didn't stop there. As he reached Shaq's row, he paused, gesturing at the empty seat beside him. "Figures, he's got to have extra room, probably doesn't even fit in regular seats." Shaq glanced at him, his deep voice cutting through the man's arrogance like a blade. "It's just a seat, my man. We're all here to get to the same place." The man rolled his eyes, placing his briefcase in the overhead bin with a theatrical sigh. "I guess that's easy for you to say." Tension filled the cabin as passengers silently observed the exchange. A woman seated across the aisle frowned at the man's rudeness, but didn't intervene. Even the flight attendant, now busy assisting other passengers, seemed hesitant to confront him further. The plane took off smoothly, and the hum of conversation gradually replaced the earlier awkwardness. Shaq reclined slightly, pulling out a book on leadership he had been meaning to finish. The man next to him, however, couldn't seem to let the situation go. He leaned over, addressing Shaq in a lower tone. "So, what do you do?" the man asked, his words laced with sarcasm. "Or should I ask, who do you know to get into first class?" Shaq closed his book, turning to face him. "I'm just a guy who works hard and tries to help people. What about you?" The man chuckled. "I run a consulting firm. People like me make decisions that shape industries. We don't usually find ourselves sitting next to athletes." Shaq nodded, unbothered by the insinuation. "Sounds like an important job. Must keep you busy." The man was taken aback by Shaq's gracious response, as though expecting an argument. Instead, he doubled down, muttering under his breath about celebrities wasting money on luxury. As the flight progressed, the crew announced a special initiative, Ladies and gentlemen, the head flight attendant began, we're proud to share that today we have a distinguished guest on board. Mr. Shaquille O'Neal is here with us, and he's been working tirelessly on a mission to build schools and hospitals for underprivileged children across the globe. We'd like to thank him for his efforts by donating a portion of today's flight proceeds to his foundation. Applause erupted from the passengers. The man in the suit froze, his face drained of color. The same passengers who had earlier avoided intervening now clapped enthusiastically, several even turning to shake Shaq's hand. The man cleared his throat, his confidence visibly shaken. I didn't realize, he stammered. Shaq, ever composed, smiled. No worries, man. Sometimes we all judge too quickly. The man looked down, clearly embarrassed. I owe you an apology. I shouldn't have said what I said earlier. It was out of line. Shaq nodded, his forgiveness genuine. We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do after. By the time the plane landed, the atmosphere had shifted. The man, once arrogant and dismissive, carried himself with humility. As passengers exited the plane, many stopped to thank Shaq for his work, their words a testament to the impact of kindness and humility. Outside the terminal, the man approached Shaq one final time. If there's any way I can help with your foundation, let me know. I'd like to be part of something meaningful. Shaq shook his hand, his grip firm yet warm. It's never too late to make a difference. Take care of yourself. As Shaq walked away, the sunlight glinting off his frame, the man stood in quiet reflection. The lesson was clear. True greatness isn't measured by wealth or status, but by the lives we touch and the respect we show to others. This story serves as a powerful reminder to never judge others by appearances or assumptions. Kindness, respect, and humility are virtues that transcend status. What would you have done if you were on this flight? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below, and let's inspire each other to treat everyone with dignity.